Hello and welcome to this first look exploring session looking at Histriomastix, or The Player Whipped, a play from the early 1600s, approximate date 1601-ish. The dating range of 1600 to 1603 is sort of the general area. It depends on who you wish to attribute parts of the script to, which we may discuss later, probably tomorrow, and or not for that matter. And there's all sorts of potential dating evidence, but which could go either way depending on your point of view. But anyway, Queen's still alive, but yeah, that's about where we are. So yes, it is an incredibly full text in terms of parts. There is a sort of core group of parts, and some of this doubling sort of resolves itself more naturally, or will once we've actually read the text. But yeah, there's an awful lot of people flying around, so our readers might get very confused. I will get very confused. Confusion will reign. So reading variously, I'm not going to read all the parts out for everyone. I'll just read the first few, otherwise we'll be here all day. Reading piece, Posthaste, Clerk, etc. is
Alan, already confused in Suffolk.
Reading grammar, Chrisoganus, Countryman, of Hypocrisy, etc. is
Hi, my name's Elizabeth Amisu and I'm an author based in Romford.
Reading Gut, Steward, Bacchus, and all the Morris dancers is
I'm Simon Nader, coming to you from my no longer sick bed in Dublin.
Reading Music, Philarchus, Fortune, etc. is
Aliki Chapel, based in the northwest of England.
Reading Astronomy, Inkle, Velour, Plutus, etc. is
Hi, Francis Cox, actor and voice artist living in Amsterdam.
Reading Logic, Mavortius, Scrivener, etc. is
Rachael, actor on the East Coast.
Reading Rhetoric, Hiletus, Bougle, Plenty, Wife, and many, many more is
Hello, I'm Lynn Freitas, coming to you pre-confused from the northwestern United States.
And it sounds like I'm listing courses actually every time I do this, because it's reading Arithmetic, Larius, Lyon-rash series, etc. is
Lois Potter, demonstrating infinite variety in London.
Reading Geometry, Belch and Vulture, etc. is
Bryony Sparrow, actor in Lincolnshire.
And I'm your host, Robert Crichton. I'll be reading stage directions. That's so much simpler. I will jump in to read something else if necessary, and hopefully I haven't missed anyone out going through the list. Good. So yeah, without further ado, we're going to dive into the play and figure out where the hell we are, and tick off a few characters who mostly won't return. Spoilers. Act 1, Scene 1. Enter peace, grammar, logic, rhetoric, arithmetic, geometry, music, and astronomy.
Unmask thy face, thou minister of time. Look forth, bright mirror, let thy golded hand ride with distinctless motion on the eyes of this fair chorus, till the reign of peace hath propagated plenty and increase. Now sit we high, triumphant in our sway, encircled with the sevenfold flower of art, to tread on barbarism with silver feet. These are adjuncts fit to wait on peace, who, being courted by most searching spirits, have always borne themselves in godlike state, with lofty foreheads higher than the stars. Draw near, fair daughters of eternity. Your fosteress peace is, like the aged nurse, grown proud to see her children flourish thus.
We know not how to turn these bounties back, but with continuance of obsequious love, whilst peace triumphs, it lies in grammar's might, to make the rudest brain both speak and write.
Logic shall furnish them with argument, and make them apt and able to dispute. The theme shall be of peace, and her sweet name, and every syllogism shall prove her fame.
Rhetoric will put her richest habit on, of gestures, voice, and exhortation. Her tropes and schemes shall dignify her sense, and honors peace with clearest eloquence.
Her graces in my numbers shall be seen, so full that nothing can be added more, nor aught subtracted. True arithmetic will multiply and make them infinite.
Music shall feast the bounteous ears of peace, whilst she inspires her numb conceit with life, varying each concord, mood, and faculty in flowing strains and rapting symphony.
The motions of the planets and their spheres, the stars, their influence, quantities, consents, all that astronomy can teach or know, she doth profess from sacred peace to flow.
And I will make her powers demonstrative. In all my angles, circles, cubes, or squares, the very state of peace shall seem to shine in every figure or dimensive line.
Enough, fair virgins, time shall prove this true. While you do honour peace, she'll cherish you.
And at this point, enter Mavortius, Philachus, Larius, Hyletus, Chrisoganus, and they all speak together.
Honor and faithful
Fair
attendance.
peace.
Thanks, noble lords and worthy gentlemen. But wherefore look you so askance on these, as if they were not worthy your salutes?
Because we
We
know
know
them
them not. The more your blame.
Pitied state, most weak, where nobles want the love and knowledge of the liberal arts. Are you the men for birth and place admired, by whose great motions lesser wheels turn round? And shall your minds affect so dull a course, as if your sense were most irrational? What is a man superior to a beast, but for his mind? Not that ennobles him, while he dejects his reason, making it the slave unto his brutish appetite. Make then your minds illustrious in your deeds, and each choose in this troop a spouse or mate.
We do obey, and I choose music first.
I geometry.
I rhetoric.
and I astronomy.
And I to be a servant unto all.
But now beware ye injure not the fame of these bright virgins with adulterate love. Meantime their servant here, Chrisoganus, shall teach of every art the mystery.
And exuent peace and the arts, leaving the various peoples on stage.
But if my art, as all our artists say, there is no real truth to be attained, why should we labor in their loves bestow? The wisest said, I know nothing, no.
The wisest was a fool for saying so. That oracle pronounced wise Socrates. For do I know you, know I see you, or the light? Or do you know you hear me, or I touch you?
All this we must know, assuredly.
If this be certain, then which comes from sense? The knowledge proper to the soul is truer. For that pure knowledge by the which we know a thing to be, with true cause how it is more exact than that which knows it is, and reacheth not to knowledge of the cause. Besides, that knowledge that considers things adjunct from sensive matter is exacter than that which joins itself with elements. Arithmetic ever considers numbers, abstract from sensive matter. Music still considers it with sense, as mixed with sound. Therefore, arithmetic is more exact, and more exact than is geometry, since unitas is still simplicio puncto, and number simpler than is magnitude. For unitas may still be sine puncto, but punctus never without unity, nor magnitudo sine numero. Dum enim punctus ponitor, poetor ex necessitate unitas.
But all this proves not we may know a truth.
If we have this we call scientia, we must have truth of mere necessity. For acriveia doth not signify only a certainty in that we know, but certainty with all perfection.
Although I am not satisfied in this, it doth me good to hear him thus discourse.
My lords, let's betake us to our studies.
In nothing am I better pleased. Let's go.
And they go. So we've got a little presentation by Peace and all the arts to say, go forth and do some learning stuff. And there's some people who agree with that sentiment and say, yeah, we're up for that. And yeah, some interesting sentiments being thrown about. I do like the opening line. I mask thy face, thou minister of time. That's a good opening line. I like that.
Who's he addressing at that point?
Everyone. I don't know.
Well, it's a minister of time, though, not ministers.
So, all sorts of interesting things going on. It all boils down to maths in the end. That's you can always tell. That's the general direction, But yeah, it's an interesting opener. Don't really know where it's going yet. Any thoughts in the room about this Simon?
Well, I wondered if anyone more learned than I knows what was going on contemporaneously with this, because I suddenly had a flash of Galileo in my head, and then I thought, well, hang on, no, I thought that was earlier. But I wonder was it contemporary to this? Because I wondered if there was. I've just made that link where obviously it's a response to maybe something that's in a wider societal debate, and it's quite interested me from the off.
Alan.
I'm just wondering whether this is a debate which is continued of the posh kids not actually understanding the arts, which is recurrent over the generations.
Are we going to get? We're not going to get into the different between arts and sciences. We're not going to get into that kind of debate, surely. Lois.
Who knows?
Well, I don't know. Did anybody understand Chrisoganus' speech? The knowledge proper to the soul is truer, for that pure knowledge by the which we know a thing to be, with true cause how it is more exact than that which knows it is, and reacheth not to knowledge of the cause, and it gets worse.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm with Philarchus on this, of just going, I don't really know what he said, but it was nice to hear him speak. He's got a nice way with him. I'm assuming that's deliberate, but maybe it's not. Lynn, then Francis.
I found it interesting that we begin with peace. I kind of wonder what's going on there, because England had been at war with Spain since the 1580s, and here it is 1600. So, 15 years they've been at war. So is this kind of a plea to can we just settle this thing and move on, or is it just really sort of more abstract peace?
Well, maybe it's under the auspices of peace, you have time to indulge the question of the arts and the sciences, and it's
interesting that we're making that observation when the country's been at war for so long.
Yes, and it has all sorts of unfortunate fingers in unfortunate pies that are creating all sorts of problems. Francis?
Yeah, I was wondering as we were reading it, what type of audience it was written for, because I had a hard time following it, and I feel so much better knowing that Lois didn't either. It must have been a very educated audience that this was written for.
Well, bits of it are, in sort of that opening gambit is in many ways very straightforward. Here we are, the personifications of various studies, and then some people come in to study the various studies. It's just, if there's a character thing going on with Chrisoganus that it basically is talking elliptically, and that's a character thing, then in a sense it's not a problem because we're not supposed to understand it. We don't know for certain the auspices of this, but we can probably infer that yes, it has a student audience performance space, but there's no absolute definite on that, I believe. I could be wrong on that front. Simon, then Elizabeth, and Rachael.
Thank you. No, it was just a literary response to that point there. It just struck me that for me it's a student union. it's a ways to debate current issues of the day, and I literally had the same thought. It's got to be students. It's Oxford or something.
Yeah, Elizabeth.
Yeah, I was wondering to what extent the group got the Latin in Chrisoganus' speech, because I was a little bit lost there.
Really?
Oh, I didn't get any of it.
You weren't alone, Elizabeth.
Okay, good. I thought everybody else got it, and I was
Don't do that in me.
I mean, I could pick out some of the words, but I don't actually know what it's saying. You know, that's that's as good as it gets. Size of numbers kind of things, and
I don't
following
get
on
it.
from the math, the arithmetic element.
Punctus is a point, but how can so you can have unity without a point, but you can't have a point without unity? Got it? No.
Yeah. One day we'll have glosses to go with these things, but we're doing this like an audience would take it, i.e., with that level of no idea what's going on in this. It's part of the process. Rachael, then Alan, and then we go on.
I don't know if Lynn would know the name of it, but this scene reminds me of it's like a book that, I don't know, kids read, and it's like there's a land of numbers and then there's a land of letters, and they're at war with each other.
Toll booth.
Yeah,
Yes.
Phantom Toll Booth. Yeah, great book. Yeah.
Alan.
I'm just wondering actually whether what we've got here is this. At this time, we're really at the beginning of experimental science starting to happen. And I wonder whether there's an argument going on between the results of experimentation and received wisdom, as in clerical wisdom or whatever. That's just a random thought.
We may be projecting too much on too little evidence, but that's part of the game. Let's see where the text takes us. We're going to go to a different plot strand now as we go to Act 1, Scene 2, and we may read on to the next scene, which sort of returns to this one as well immediately afterwards. We shall see. Act 1, Scene 2. Enter Inkle, Belch, Gut, and Posthaste, and there's a player's song from Simon.
The nut brown ale puts down all drink when it is stale. The toast, the nutmeg, and the ginger will make a sighing man a singer. Ale gives a buffy in the head, but ginger under props the brain. Oh dear. When ale would strike a strong man dead, the nutmeg tempers it again. The nut brown ale puts down all drink when it is stale.
This piece breeds such plenty, trades serve no turns.
The more fools we to follow them.
Let's make up a company of players, for we can all sing and say, and so, with practice, soon may learn to play.
True. Could our action answer your extempore?
I'll teach ye to play true politicians.
Why, those are the falsest subtle fellows lives.
I pray, sir, what titles have travelling players?
Why, proper fellows, they play lords and kings.
What parts would best become us, sir, I pray?
Faith, to play rogues till we be bound for running away.
Content. Scrivener, ho! You must have a knot of knaves together.
And enter a Scrivener.
Your appellations.
Your names, he means. The man's learned.
I, Belch the beard maker.
I got the fiddle string maker.
I, Inkle the peddler.
I, Master Posthaste, the poet.
Your nomenclature.
Oh, stately Scrivener, that's where dwell ye?
Townsmen.
Townsmen.
The obligatories condition.
Politician players.
And exit Scrivener.
But whose men are we all this while?
Whose but the merry knights, Sir Oliver Owlets, who is never a better man to play as.
If our peril be not point device, the fat's i' the fire.
What a greasy phrase this playing will furnish ye.
What, oh, Master Bougle, a word?
Here's half a dozen good fellows.
Oft, sir, we are but 4 or 5.
The liker to thrive.
Enter Bougle.
What saucy names are these?
That speaks to you players. I am the poet.
As concerning the king and the clown.
Oh, will you have rich stuff indeed?
'Tis not to be dealt on without store of drink.
Store of money, you would say.
Nay, 'tis well said, for drink must clap up the bargain. That's the way.
And they exit, leaving that short scene. We'll go straight into the next scene, Act 1, Scene 3. Enter Faucher, Velcher, Velure, Lyon-rash, and Chrisoganus, who we've met in his study. These merchants and lawyers enter 2 and 2 at several doors.
Master Forcher, how fares your body, sir? Come you from your book?
Troth, Master Lyon-rash, this piece gives lawyers leave to play.
Master Faucher, you are very well encountered, sir.
Master Velure, I value your friendship at as high a price as any man's.
Gentlemen, how shall we spend this afternoon?
Faith, let's go see a play.
See a play, a proper pastime indeed, to hear a deal of prating to so little purpose.
Why, this going to a play is now all in the fashion.
Why then, let's go where we may hear sweet music and delicate songs, for the harmony of music is so heaven-like that I love it with my life.
Nay, faith, this afternoon we'll spend in hearing the mathematics read.
Why then, let's to the academy to hear Chrisoganus.
Content.
Content.
So they all go to Chrisoganus' study, where they find him reading.
Master Chrisoganus, by your leave, sir.
Gentlemen, you are welcome.
I pray you, sir, what were the best course for a scholar?
Why, no man can attain to any truth, but he must seek it mathematically.
Which are the mathematique sciences?
Arithmetic and geometry are chief.
What difference is there twixt philosophy and knowledge? Which is mathematical?
Thus this, sir. The natural philosopher considers things as merely sensible. The mathematician ut mente adjunctas a materia sensibili, but this requireth time to satisfy. For 'tis an axiom with all men of art, mathematicum abstrahentem non committere mendacium. And for the beauty of it, what can be urged more extractive than the farce of heaven? The mysteries that art have found therein. It is distinguished into regions, those regions filled with sundry sorts of stars. They likewise christened with peculiar names, to see a daily use wrought out of them, with demonstrations so infallible, the pleasure cannot be but ravishing.
The very thought thereof inflameth me.
Why, you shall meet with projects so removed from vulgar apprehension, as for instance, the sun here riseth in the east with us, but not of his own proper motion, as being turned by primum mobile, the heaven above, coelum stellatum, whereas his true ascent is in the west, and so he consummates his circled course in the ecliptic line, which parts the zodiac, being born from tropic to tropic. This time we call a year, whose hieroglyphic was amongst the Egyptians figured in a snake, wreathed circular, the tail within his mouth, as happily the Latins since did call a ring of the word annus, annulus.
I apprehend not in my ablest powers, that once in every 24 hours the sun should rise and set, yet be a year in finishing his own designed course.
Why, that I will demonstrate to you thus. Turn a huge wheel, contrary to the sway, Place me a fly upon it. The fly, before it can arrive the point from whence it went, shall sundry times be circumvolved about. Even so the sun and the affinities. For if you wonder how at one self-hour 2 of discordant natures may be born, as one a king, another some base swain, one valiant and the other timorous, let but 2 drops of ink or water fall directly on so swift a turning wheel, and you shall find them both cast far in sunder. Even so the heavenly orbs, whirling so fast and so impetuously, project men's fates, most full of change and contrariety.
Good faith, these knowledges are very rare and full of admiration, are they not?
The mathematiques are the strength of truth, a magazine of all perfection.
Shall we design some place for exercise, and every morning have a lecture read?
Content, if so Chrisoganus stand please. His exhibition shall be competent, we'll all be patrons.
To make you artists answers my desire, rather than hope of mercenary hire.
And they exit. And yes, Chrisoganus continues to be as clear as mud. So yeah, there seems to be a joke there. And it's an interesting question. Are these students utterly enraptured, or are they being sarcastic, or is there a combination of things going on there at this sort of stuff? It's an interesting question. Well, merchants and lawyers, you get that impression they seem to be of the student bent, perhaps. They're discussing what to do with their day. You know, do you go to see a play? Maybe some music. You know, maybe we'll hear some learned chap. The moment we hear "let's go see a play," of course, our ears prick up to the previous scene. We're going, "Oh, there's some people thinking of making a play. Maybe this plot line will meet with the other plot line later." That's always nice. Lois.
Yeah. It's pretty funny, these guys deciding to be actors, because there's no point in continuing with their trades in time of peace. There's a sort of general point, I suppose, about peace being bad for all sorts of professions, like lawyers and obviously jailers and so on, because everybody is happy and peaceful. But it's interesting. I mean, it's perfectly true. I would think that professions like acting do thrive in peacetime. I'm not sure whether Chrisoganus' stuff is meant to be funny. I mean, it doesn't seem all that different from the kind of thing you get in Dr. Faustus, for instance, where Faustus and Mephistopheles are talking about science.
Yeah, but it is slightly more clear what the hell they're talking about, though. I mean, even if we may not be with it, there's something very opaque about this. I think we could frame this as this is what happens when you have to transition to a service economy. That might be a bit much. Lynn, then Rachael.
Yeah, I mean, even today, war stimulates certain sectors of the economy. There's economic impetus for armed conflict. There's that. I was just going to say, unrelated to that I kind of enjoyed Chrisoganus's rationalization of why astrology doesn't really work. How are 2 people born at almost the exact same time, or virtually the exact same time, have such different fates? Well, the wheel is turning so fast that, drop, and the 2 drops go in completely different directions. Yeah, that's why. So, I mean, I do wonder, is this supposed to be like Faustus, this erudite, but basically comprehensible explanation of the nature of the universe? Or is it supposed to be sort of ridiculous in its opacity?
And there's interesting questions, because in the previous scene, of course, we've got the Scrivener coming on, and the Scrivener has to be translated, which I do quite like as a gag. Your appellations. He means names. He's got an education, and things like that. So there may be that sort of joke dancing around there. Rachael.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Chrisoganus is supposed to be serious, because the part where starts talking, this time we call a year, whose hieroglyphic was amongst the Egyptians figured in a snake. He's talking about an Ouroboros, and then the last line is a ring of the word anus, anolus. I think it's supposed to be just an anus joke, even though it's an anus. Like, what do you call it?
Annual.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
annus does mean year.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it's a double play on those words.
And if it wasn't before, it certainly is now. No, I think you're right. A ring, and then of the word anus. Yeah, there's an anus joke there, surely. Rachael, again.
Like, didn't that happen to the Queen a couple years ago? That it said somebody said she had like an anus terribilis or something.
I just put it in the chat.
Yes. Okay. So and we're saying so we had this sort of fleeting moment with Posthaste and Belch, etc. And they're setting up their theatre company. So Oliver Owlett's Players. Nice name for a company. I think that's got a nice ring to it. But they're very much just a set up and out, actually. Just set up hopefully for runningness later on. We've sort of established very quickly, actually. I mean, we've lingered actually more on this than perhaps we should, because but it's very in and out. It's going straight in and then it's coming straight out again. It's quite swift. Let's see where we go. We're about to finish Act 1. I mean, it's very swift. There's a very brief coda to Act 1, which we'll do, but we'll run it straight into Act 2. And this might be designed for act breaks, so that actually these ends of acts might involve mini intervals as well. So formally, that we should pause after the next scene, but we're not going to. We're going to run on. So to close Act 1, Scene 4, enter harvest folks. Always love a bunch of harvest folks with a bowl. After them, peace leading in plenty, Plutus with ingots of gold, Ceres with sheaves, Bacchus with grapes. The harvest folks' song.
Holiday, oh blessed morn, this day plenty hath been born. Plenty is the child of peace, to her birth the gods do praise. Full-crowned Mazors Bacchus brings, with liquor which from grapes he wrings. Holiday, oh blessed morn, this day plenty hath been born. Holiday, let's loudly cry, for joy of her nativity. Ceres, with the bounteous hand, doth at plenty's elbow stand, binding mixed coronets of wheat, which on her head she sets. Holiday, oh blessed morn, this day plenty hath been born. Holiday, let's loudly cry, for joy of her nativity.
Reach me the bowl with rich autumnian juice, that I may drink a health to your new queen. Time's winged hours that pointed out my reign have fled. I am no more your sovereign. Wound air with shrill-tuned castanets, to rob myself to make my daughter rich. Peace doth resign her pure imperial crown, wrought by the muses, in whose circle grow all flowers that are to Phoebus consecrate.
And we got down here exeunt and ends of Act 1, though I am questioning that as we go to what we've got down as Act 2, Scene 1. For we have enter plenty in majesty upon a throne, heaps of gold, Plautus, Ceres and Bacchus doing homage, who've all been name-checked just now.
What heavenly sovereignty supports my estate, that plenty reigns as princess after peace? Then, if this powerful arm can turn the hour, it is my will, and that shall stand for law, that all things on the earth be plentiful. I crush out bounty from the amber grape, and fill your barns with swelling sheaves of corn. How can this but engender blessed thought, especially when gods our good have sought?
For thee, thy servants captivate the earth, her fruitfulness falls down at plenty's feet.
Bacchus will cheer her melancholy sense with drops of nectar from this crimson juice.
Her body shall sustain 10,000 wounds, and swarthy India be transformed to sea, disgorging gold choler to the waves, before sweet plenty find the least defect.
For this abundance poured at plenty's feet, you shall be tetrarchs of this petty world.
Enter Mavortius, Philacus, and Chrisoganus.
What dullards thus dole in rusty art, plotting upon a book to dull the sense, and see the world become a treasure house, where angels swarm like bees in plenty's streets, and every peasant surfeites on their sweets?
Give me a season that will stir the blood. I like not niggardess to hunger starve. 'Tis good when poor men frolic in the hall, the whilst our fathers in the chambers feast, and none repines at any stranger guest.
Who was the author of this store but peace? That commonwealth is never well at ease, where parchment skins whose use should bear records must head their brawling drums and keep a coil, as if they threatened plenty with the spoil.
Your houses must be open to the poor, your dusty tables filled with store of meat. Let goodly yeomen at your elbow stand, swords by their sides and trenchers in their hand. Long skirted coats with wide sleeves with cloth enough. Thus, lords, you shall my government enlarge, reverence your queen by practicing her charge.
Ours be the
The charge,
Thine
and
by
not
The empire.
Exit plenty. They bring her to the door and leave her.
Gallants, let us invent some pleasing sports to find the plenteous humor of the time.
What better recreations can you find than sacred knowledge in divinest things?
Your books are adamants, and you the iron that cleaves to them till you confound yourself.
Poor scholars, spend thy spirits so, and die.
Let them do so that list. So will not I.
I cannot feed my appetite with air. I must pursue my pleasures royally. That, sponged in sweat, I may return from sport. Mount me on horseback, keep the hounds and hawks, and leave this idle contemplation to rugged stoical morosophists.
Oh, did you but your own true glories know, your judgments would not then decline so low.
What, master pedant, pray, forbear.
'Tis you, my lord, that must forbear to err.
'Tis still safe erring with the multitude.
A wretched moral, more than barbarous rude.
How you translating, scholar? You can make a stabbing satyr or an epigram, and think you carry just Rhamnusia's whip to lash the patient. Go, get you clothes, our freeborn blood such apprehension loathes.
Proud lord, poor art shall wear a glorious crown when her despisers die to all renown.
And everyone exits. School's out for yeah, so Plenty turns up and says, "Hi, here's some fun things you can do," rather than sitting over books and studying. And everybody leaves apart from Chrisoganus, who's gonna keep on working there. Yeah, this is a really difficult play to click into. I'm getting, there's some nice things here. I'm sort of enjoying the ride to a degree, but it just feels like it is in a world that we're not quite in. It's feeling of its moment. I'm sure it was exactly suited to its target market at the time, but finding a route in, even though I say I'm sort of enjoying it, but there's a thing. Lynn, then Lois.
I was just wondering moments ago when we're going to have some kind of conflict, because like you can't have a play without conflict. You have to have a plot, right? And like everything's all harmonious. And here it is. Maybe this is the main conflict between the young lords who are decided, I got better things to do now than study, and Chrisoganus, who says, no, knowledge is still important and study is still important, and the arts need their supporters. So, but is he a pedant? Is he kind of maybe a little too extreme in that direction? So maybe that's what the play will be exploring. We'll see.
Well, we don't have to have a conflict. Maybe just things will happen and they'll be
there you go.
Lois, then Alan.
I think we're seeing a sort of cyclical theory of history that goes through these various stages. One leads to the next, and because as far as I can make out from this giant cast of characters, we're going to go through quite a lot.
Yes, no, I like that. That we're going to see how everyone reacts to changing circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
So that might be interesting to see how that flows. I mean, we don't really know what the plot with the players is going to yet, because we haven't got to our second scene on that front. So that there still could be room for other manoeuvre in terms of other plots, and also in a sense the amount of text we've done is relatively small. We've rattled through quite a small chunk of the text, and it's not a long text either, so it doesn't feel like it's lingering anywhere for any length of time. Alan, then Rachel.
I'm just wondering, I know I often say reminds me almost of a sketch show, but there's a feel of that, or of student review. I mean, in some ways I'm seeing Cook, Moore, Bennett and Miller doing this. It's the clever student showing off.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons why I was saying I sort of trying to click into this is I suspect there's a lot of jokes that we're not getting, and they won't be framed as jokes. They will be references that we are not getting that is in here, so that that some of the longer speeches and some of the things people are saying may have a level that we will never know to unpack, because it's just doesn't survive. Rachel.
No, I was just going to say the same thing as Alan, that it kind of reminds me of Ben Jonson, like you're not smart enough to get this joke, but less bitter, I guess.
I like that comment. I will come back to it later. One day. Yes. Other thoughts in the room? Okay, let's go to the other plot line, and cast of thousands and confusions are going to increase now. Act 2, Scene 2. Enter Countryman to whom Clerk of the market. He rings a bell and draws a curtain, where under is a market set about a cross.
Is this drunkard clerk to ring the bell?
Hey-oh, Butnail has buttoned my cap.
Corn buyer Simon.
Sorry, I even looked. Who's that? What's a quarter of corn?
2 and 6pence.
Sight up, 'tis mine.
Enter a merchant's wife with apprentice carrying a handbasket.
Have you any potatoes?
The abundance will not quite cost the bringing.
Well, what's your cock sparrows a dozen?
A penny, mistress.
There's for a dozen old.
And we've no idea what happens to these characters, but we have the entrance of Gulch, Belch, Clout and Gut, possibly Posthaste as well, because they're going to speak in a minute. One of them steps on the cross and cries, "A play!" And a leaky your Gulch.
All that they can sing and say, come to the townhouse and see a play. At 3 o'clock it shall begin, the finest play that e'er was seen. Yet there is one thing more in my mind. Take heed you leave not your purses behind.
Oh, that's a useful purpose speech. We'll keep that for the future. Enter a ballad singer and sings a ballad. I don't know if we have any indication what the ballad is, so we can infer that maybe there was a ballad sung at this point.
What's your play's name? Masters, whose men are ye? How the sign of the owl in the ivy bush? Sir Oliver Howlett's?
It's a sign you're not blind, sir.
Best that ever trod on stage, the lascivious knight and lady nature.
Have you cried the play, masters?
Oh, yeah,
Aye. No doubt we
No
shall
doubt
have good
we shall
doings.
have good doings, but how proceed you in the new plot of the prodigal child?
Oh, sirs, my wit's grown no less plentiful than the time. There's 2 sheets done in folio, will cost 2 shillings in rhyme.
Shall we hear a flirt before the audience come?
Aye, that you shall, I swear by the sun. Sit down, sirs.
And Posthaste reads the prologue, and they sit to hear it. Are you sitting comfortably, children? Then he'll begin.
When author's quill in quivering hand, his tired arm did take, his wearied muse bade him devise some fine play for to make. Now, my masters, in this bravado, I can read no more without canado.
What ho!
What ho! Quickly, quickly!
Enter Vintner with a quart of wine.
Enter the prodigal child. Fill the pot, I would say. Uffer, who calls for me? I play the prodigal child in jollity.
Oh, detestable good.
Enter to him, Dame Virtue. My son, thou art a lost child. This is a passion. Note you the passion? And hath many poor men of their goods beguiled. O prodigal child prodigal. Read the rest, sirs. I cannot read for tears. Fill me the pot, I prithee, fellow gulch.
Faith, we can read nothing but riddles.
My masters, what tire wears your lady on her head?
4 squirrels' tails tied in true love's knot.
Oh, amiable, good, 'tis excellent.
But how shall we do for a prologue for lords?
I'll do it extempore.
Oh, might we hear a spurt if need require?
Why, lords, we're here to show you what we are. Lords, we're here, although our clothes be bare. Instead of flowers in season, ye shall gather rhyme and reason. I never pleased myself better. Comes off with such suavity.
Well, fellows, I never heard happier stuff. There's no new luxury or blandishment, but plenty of old England's mother's words.
It is not pity this fellow's not employed in matters of state. But where's the epilogue? Must beg the plaudite.
Why, man, the class is run, our play is done. Hence, time doth call. We thank you all.
Aye, but how if they do not clap their hands?
No matter, so they thump us not. Come, we poets have the kindest wretches to our ingles.
Why, what's an ingle, man?
One whose hands are hard as battle doors with clapping at boldness.
Then we shall have rare Ingling at the prodigal child.
Aye, and it be played upon a good night. Let's give it out for Friday.
Content.
And enter a steward.
My masters, my lord Mavortius is disposed to hear what you can do.
What, fellows, shall we refuse the town play?
Why, his reward is worth the mayor and all the town.
We'll make
We'll
him
make
merry.
him merry.
We'll be
there.
there.
I'll be there.
And they exit. So we have a scene of people in a street advertising their play, and then at the end of the scene, they go, sod the town, we're going to play for the gentry.
The Royal Mile, isn't it?
And it's just basically, it's just going, oh yeah, they've spent the entire scene advertising this thing. They just blow everyone off. Okay, fun things in there. I'm quite enjoying bits of it. It's very brief. We have this tiny vignette scene of the market, and then it's sort of gone. And we've got reference to a play of the prodigal child. We do have at least one and a bit prodigal child plays surviving from pre this, and we can be fairly certain there are a hell of a lot more. So it's a standard type text that might be out there of this kind of thing. It's an interesting question. I don't know what town this is. I mean, I'm assuming this isn't London. I'm assuming this is out of town. But definition of town and how far away from London that is of course depending on your point of view. But yes, it has a certain element to it that I quite like. I do like the fact that we've got Gulch going, what happens if they don't clap? It's fine so long as they don't boo. Or thump rather. Stamping of feet, not a good thing. Let's give it out for Friday. Obviously Friday's a good night. That's a good day to do things. Nobody wants to go out on a Thursday. You're always in a bad mood. Lynn.
I thought thump meant as long as they don't beat us up, because to get thumped.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It might be. I went with thump as just stamping of feet, but yeah, it could be literally assault. Yeah. I don't know if anyone has other viewpoints on thump in this context.
Yeah, as long as they don't beat us up is a really low bar.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, any actors in the room will be going, yeah. We've played this venue. We've played that audience. Lois.
I wondered a bit about Friday. I mean, for us, certainly Friday night would be a good night to open. But the only thing I can remember is that in Chaucer, there's a long bit, and I think it's the Nun's Priest's Tale. This all happened on a Friday, and then they go on and on about how terrible Friday is. And of course, Good Friday, is best known for not being a Good Friday. It's possible that this is a joke as well, that they're picking the worst possible day to put the play on.
Lynn.
I don't know if this is relevant, but at least here in the United States, back in the day, 19th century and before, Thursday and Saturday were like half days. So Saturday wasn't a day off the way it is, since the labor movement created the weekend, but Saturday was like a short day. And I wonder if that goes this far back, that Friday is a good time because Saturday, nobody goes to work till noon, or everybody's off work at 1 o'clock or something like that.
Yes, it's the question. What's the joke on that line? Is it that that's a terrible day of the week to do it, or is that it is a good day of the week? What's the logic there?
Yeah, it could be a bad day because everyone's been fasting and they're grouchy. So.
Yeah. So yeah, once again, we're getting all these little things flying around. Posthaste is, emoting. I think it's fair to say this is a passion. Note you the passion. Footnotes there for anyone who wasn't following what the actor was doing. Running venture. Okay. Any other thoughts before we go into some acting? There's a little mini scene before we get to some acting, but we'll run that straight into the acting. Yes. Okay. Act 2, Scene 3. Enter Velour and Lyon-rash with a water spaniel and the moment I've been waiting for, a duck.
Come, sirs, how shall we recreate ourselves? This plenteous time forbids abroad at home.
Let's duck it with our dogs to make us sport, and cross the water to eat some cream. What ho, sculler!
You do forget, plenty affords us oars.
Enter Fortune and Vulture with bows and arrows.
What shall we shoot for a green goose, sir?
There's a wise match.
Faith, we may take our bows and shafts and sleep. This dreaming long vacation gives us leave.
Gentlemen, well met. What? Pancreas night?
The bounty of the time will have it so.
You are prepared for sport as well as we?
One of the goodliest spaniels I have seen.
And here's the very quintessence of ducks.
For diving, mean ye?
Aye, and thriving too, for I have won 3 wagers this last week. What, will you go with us and see our sport?
No, faith, sir, I'll go ride and breathe my horse.
Why, whether ride you, we will all go with you.
Let's meet some 10 miles hence to hawk and hunt.
Content. This plenty yields us choice of sports. Our trades and we are now no fit consorts.
And they exit enjoying their holiday. It's lovely to watch people enjoying their holiday. There's nothing more enjoyable than watching other people having a nice time. Act 2, Scene 4. Enter Usher of the Hall and Clerk of the Kitchen.
Master Clerk of the Kitchen, Faith, what's your daily expense?
2 beeves, a score of muttons, hogsheads of wine and beer, 12 a day.
Never was age more plentiful.
Usher, it is my lord's pleasure all comers be bounteously entertained.
Aye, but it's my lady's pleasure.
What else? She scorns to wear cloth breeches, man.
Enter Porter.
Morris dance with neighbors craves attendance.
Porter, let them in, man.
Enter Morris dancers.
Butler, make them drink their skins full.
God bless the founder.
Porter, are these players come?
Half an hour ago, sir.
Bid them come in and sing. The meat's going up.
And exit Clerk of the Kitchen and Porter.
Gentlemen and yeomen, attend upon the sewer.
Enter players, with them Posthaste the poet.
Sir Oliver Owlet's men, welcome. By God's will, it is my lord's pleasure it should be so.
Sir, we have caroused like kings, for here is plenty of all things.
Look about you, masters, be uncovered.
Enter sewer with service inside livery coats, and the players sing a song.
Brave lads, come forth and chant it, for now 'tis supper time. See how the dish is flaunted with meat to make up rhyme. Pray for his honour truly and truly in all he undertakes. He serves the poor most duly and duly as all the country speaks.
God bless my lord Mavortius and his merry men all. To make his honour merry, we sing in the hall.
My masters, for that we are not only for causes come you to the house, but also for causes. I marvel where you will lodge.
We hope for causes in the house, though drunk be in our heads, because to plenty we carouse for beef and beer and beds.
Fed like honest men, what plays have you?
Here's a gentleman's scholar writes for us. I pray, Master Posthaste, declare for our credits.
For mine own part, through this summer season, I am desperate of a horse.
'Tis well, but what plays have you?
A gentleman's a gentleman that hath a clean shirt on, with some learning, and so have I.
One of you answer the names of your plays.
Mother Gerton's Needle, a tragedy. The Devil and Dives, a comedy. A russet coat and a knave's cup, an infernal. A proud heart and a beggar's purse, a pastoral. The widow's apron strings, a nocturnal.
I promise ye pretty names, I pray, what ye want in anything, to take it out and drink, and so go, and make ye ready, masters.
And the players exit to get ready. At which point we have the arrival of an audience. Enter Mavortius, Philarchus, and Landolfo, an Italian lord, and other nobles and gentles to see the play.
My lords, your entertainment is but base. Coarser your cates, but welcome with the best. Fellows, some cushions. Place fair ladies here. Signor Landolfo, pray be merry, sir.
Is it the Italian guise to be so sad when love and fancy should be banqueting?
Oh, madam, your kindness hath full power to command.
These admirable wits of Italy that court with looks and speak in syllables are curious supervisors over strangers, and when we covet so to frame ourselves, like overnice portraying pictures, we spoil the counterfeit in colouring. England is plain and loves her mother's guise. enriched with cunning as her parents rise.
Lady, these eyes did ever hate to scorn, and this tongue's inured to carp or contrary. The bosom where this heart hath residence, I wish may seem the seat of courtesy.
Rome, my masters, take your places. Hold up your torches for dropping there.
Usher, are the players ready? Bid them begin.
Enter the players, and the players sing.
Some up and some down, there's players in the town. You wot well who they be, some doth rise to 3 companies. 1, 2, 3, 4 make we. Besides we that travel with pumps full of gravel, made all of such running leather, that once in a week new masters we seek, and never can hold together.
Rapturous round of applause for the players, presumably. Who knows? And now the prologue speaks. Of course, this would be one of the people, but we don't know who. It might be Posthaste, it might be someone else. It's just prologue. So, prologue.
Philida was a fair maid. I know one fairer than she. Troilus was a true lover. I know one truer than he. And Cressida, that dainty dame, whose beauty fair and sweet was clear as is the crystal stream that runs along the street. How Troil he, that noble knight, was drunk in love and bade good night, though bending leg likewise. Do you not us despise?
Oh, most ugly lines and base brown paper stuff, thus to abuse our heavenly poesy, that sacred offspring from the brain of Jove, thus to be mangled with profane absurds, strangled and choked with lawless bastards' words.
I see, my lord, this homespun country stuff brings little liking to your curious ear. Be patient, for perhaps the play will mend.
Enter Troilus and Cressida.
Come, Cressida, my cresset light, thy face doth shine both day and night. Behold, behold thy garter blue, thy knight his valiant elbow wears, that when he shakes his furious spear, the foe in shivering fearful sword may lay him down in death to snort.
O knight, with valour in thy face, here take my screen, wear it for grace, within thy helmet put the same, therewith to make thine enemies lame.
A lame stuff indeed, her like was never heard.
And enter a roaring devil with the vice on his back, iniquity in one hand and Juventus in the other.
Passion of me, how I sweat, sir. The dust of your coat I intend for to beat, sir.
I am the prodigal child, I that I am. Who says I am not? I say he is to blame.
And I likewise am iniquity, beloved of many, alas for pity.
I probably haven't done a devil. Simon, be a devil.
Ho, 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 these babes mine are all the vice, iniquity, and child prodigal.
Fie! What unworthy foolish foppery the vice presents such buzzardly simplicity.
No more, unless 'twere better, and for the rest ye shall be our debtor.
My lords, of your accord, some better pleasure for to bring. If you a theme affords, you shall know it, that I, Posthaste, the poet, extempore can sing.
Oh, I pray, my lord, let's have it. The play is so good that this must needs be excellent.
Content, my lord. Pray give a theme.
And theme?
Your poets and your pots are writ in true love knots.
And out of this, extempore, Posthaste creates this song.
Give your scholars degrees, and the lawyer his fees, and some dice for some petronel flash. Give your courtier grace, and your knight a new case, and empty their purses of cash. Give your plague-gull a stool, and my lady her fool, and her ushers potatoes and marrow. But your poet, were he dead, set a pot to his head, and he rises as pert as a sparrow. O delicate wine, with thy power so divine, full of ravishing sweet inspiration, yet a verse may run clear that is tapped out of beer, especially in the vacation. But when the term comes that with trumpet and drums our playhouses ring in confusion, then Bacchus me murder. But rhyme we no further. Some sack now upon the conclusion.
Give them 40 pence, let them go.
Exit players.
How likes Landolfo this extempore song?
I blush in your behalf at this base trash. In honor of our Italy, we sport as if a synod of the holy gods came to triumph within our theatres. Always commending English courtesy. Our amphitheatres and pyramids are situate like three-headed dindymus, where stand the statues of three striving queens that once contended for the golden ball. Always commending English courtesy. Are not your curious dames of sharper spirit? I have a mistress whose entangling wit will turn and wind more cunning arguments than could the Cretan labyrinth and gyre. Always commending English courtesy.
Good sir, you give our English ladies cause, respectively, to applaud the Italian guise, which proudly henceforth we will prosecute.
Oh, command what fashion Italy affords.
Why, lady, sir, I like not of this pride. Give me the ancient hospitality. They say 'tis merry in hall when beards wag all. The Italian lord's an ass. The song is a good song.
And we're going to pause there because it's going to get complicated. So yeah, we've got Morris dancers, we've got feasting, we've got a list of plays of which one we can authoritatively say Mother Gerton's Needle we have encountered. Joke, of course, is it's a tragedy, and we know it's a comedy. Bum bum. There are we know of. Putative, The Devil and Divas, a comedy, not a comedy. The other three, God only knows. So, you know, the gag there would be to shift those for whatever thing. So, Lord of the Rings romantic comedy. That's the gag basically. And playing with that stuff. Lynn, then Rachael.
So is this just my take? But the players are so bad at what they do that the lords just give them money to shut up and go away.
Yes, I was just trying to figure out actually 40 pence, how good or bad that would be for a relatively small group of players doing
the same. I thought that was quite a lot of money to give something so awful. So at the time.
Yeah, because the group isn't big, so it's something like 10p each. It's not that bad. Rachael, then Elizabeth.
Yeah, I was gonna say where stand the statues of three striving queens that once contended for the golden bowl, and then the saying always commending English courtesy. Is that a reference to Anne Boleyn? Didn't she get something like that? Didn't she get wasn't in her coronation thing that Paris gave her the golden ball?
It did indeed, but I suspect the author is not aware of this. I took from Landolfo he was basically just being really rude and then would just sort of gloss it by going, but obviously you're very courteous and nice. And that's basically, you're all really shit, but you're really lovely.
You call this a party?
Yeah.
Why, back home? And well, England's great, of course, but back home!
Elizabeth.
Yeah, I was just wondering, in addition to what Simon said, if we have reached consensus that the play is awful. Because Landolfo says the play is so good that this must needs be excellent. Was he being sarcastic?
He's being very sarcastic, yes.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, you've got so far two plays, as far as I can tell. You've got, Troilus and Cressida, and then randomly we leap to this morality play thing with Vice and Juventus running on again, which is quite identifiable in shape to plays that we've got. So we can actually connect that with things that we've seen with people dragging running around with vices on the back of a devil. So it's quite recognizable if you recognize this genre, which we can you know, we could put it in a season so the audience would find this hilarious at the end of the week. Simon.
Yeah, I think line of the day has to be the horrendous pun as well on toil and Troil just before Troilus. That actually hurt to say, never mind reading. So yeah, I think further evidence that it's shocking.
Yeah, it's yeah, and I say that's all we get. Sadly, I was hoping for more play, please. I mean, we get songs, and of course, Posthaste gets to do an extempore bit of beat verse, you know, poetry slamming.
Doggerel.
Which, you know, from a theme, which is a thing we know people did. That, you know, that's a thing your clown or your comic might do to supplement their income in or around shows, or for that matter within shows as well. To say, yeah, give us, you know, it's that sort of stand up improv thing of, you know, give me a name of a city and a television series. Kind of thing, and then just make some stuff up on the back of it. So it's whose line is it anyway? But with song as well. So yeah, don't know if that makes him Bill Bailey more than anything else. I don't know which one you'd want to go for. Other thoughts in the room? You know, anyone worried about plot? I'm not fussed. It's fine. Lois, then Simon.
Yeah. Well, I think scholars have been kind of interested in those descriptions of what the genres plays belong to. It's something called an infernal and something else called a nocturnal. And people have tried to identify plays that might be nocturnals. I'm not sure if they got terribly far with the infernals, but, you know, plays that take place mainly by night and so on. That might be a genre.
Or the inverse of a genre. So it might be that a nocturnal is actually something, a diurnal, you know, something that's a daytime kind of thing. Or maybe could that be an inversion of a pastoral? Pastorals might be a more day kind of thing.
Well, plays like The Angry Woman of Abingdon, where the characters are going around in the dark half the time. I mean, you could call that a nocturnal.
But then means the widow's apron strings must be set entirely during the day, because it will be the opposite, because that's the gag.
Yeah.
I think the gag is that he's just using words that end in "al," having said pastoral.
Yeah.
So, Simon.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, I was just gonna make a prediction for how we're gonna go. I'm assuming that they're also now not learned, because we're gonna get to a moral that you should stay in education and therefore learn everything and learn it well, so you don't become just as silly and awful as these people. I'm assuming that's where we're going.
Maybe not. You know, it's a good question. I don't know. You know, Elizabeth.
I was thinking that we should add to our early modern bingo the devil runs on stage. Because I think it was Friar Bacon and Friar Bungay, was it, when the devil ran on stage and just grabbed someone and just took him off?
We have got a lot of plays. I mean, I haven't actually formally launched the playlist. The podcast has a Demon Devils playlist. The YouTube channel doesn't yet have a properly functioning playlist of demons. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of demon action.
Just grabbing people and running off with them.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like Will to Like is one that immediately leaps out as having a prominent demon leapy on the back of action. But yeah, there's actually quite a few. So it's a thing. It's a thing. It's what you do if you're evil. Okay. Any other thoughts before we move on? We're going into Act 3. Oh, Simon.
Sorry, no, I was just saying, I'm assuming Mother Gerton's needle is Gamma Gerton's needle, as we would know it was. Yeah.
Simon recognises this because he was in it in our full cast audio adaptation, which is available on the podcast now.
And also a good play versus a not so good play so far.
Yes, I think they would be much happier if they just got Gamma Gerton's needle. They would have been a much happier thing. Sorry, getting confused by the chat. Yeah, again, almost all of them. That's just to make the viewers watching this feel excluded. Yeah, if you join us, then there's a chat feature thing going on as well, and it's great. You know, we talk amongst ourselves. we're not going to tell you anything about that. Okay, we're going into Act 3. I'm just going to point out there are 6 acts as well, just if anyone's worried about structure. So, you know, just if next session you think, oh, we're getting towards the end. No, there's another act. Just to confuse you. So Act 3, Scene 1, as it's labelled here, I'm very doubtful about some of these bifurcations, but because I don't know who's... this does seem to be a separate scene. It does look like they've presumably cleared the previous one, but it's all got mingled with the stage direction that I'm about to read. So Act 3, Scene 1, enter pride, vainglory, hypocrisy and contempt. Pride cads a mist. Wherein Mavortius and his company vanish off stage. So get the hazer out, people, and the smoke machine. And Pride and her attendants remain.
Feels very House of Gucci now. Brave minds, now beautify your thoughts with pomp. Send forth your ships into the furthest seas. Fetch me the feathers of the Arabian birds. Bring mermaids' combs and glasses for my gaze. Let all your sundry imitating shapes make this your native soil, the hind of apes. Then, ladies, trick your trains with Turkish pride. Plait your dishevelled hair with ropes of pearl. Wear sparkling diamonds like twinkling stars, and let your spangled crowns shine like the sun. If you will sit in throne of state with pride, the newest fashion still must be your guide.
Vainglory vows to lackey by thy foot, till she hath swollen men's hearts with arrogance.
In like designs, two-faced hypocrisy is pressed to spend her deepest industry.
And till her sovereignty decline and bow, contempt shall be enthroned in every brow.
Then thus, as sovereign empress of all sins, pride turns her hour, and here her scene begins.
Enter Fauchier and Vaucher, 2 lawyers.
How shall we best employ this idle time?
Let's argue on some case for exercise.
You see the full-gorged world securely sleeps, and sweet contention, lawyer's best content, is sent by drowsy peace to banishment.
Though these be lawyers, Concord's enemies, pride's fuel, shall their fire of strife increase.
Enter Velour and Lyon-rash.
Signor Voucher, know you those citizens?
They are 2 wealthy merchants and our friends.
Yet may they have brought us welcome fees.
Lawyers and merchants met, bestir thee, pride.
In faith, no suit, sir. Quiet all.
Fortune and health attend you, gentlemen.
We thank you, lady. May we crave your name?
Men call me Pride, and I am plenty's heir, immortal, though I bear a mortal show. Are not you lawyers, from whose reverent lips the amazed multitude learn oracles? Are not you merchants, that from east to west, from the Antarctic to the Arctic poles, bringing all treasure that the earth can yield?
We are, worthy lady.
Most worthy lady.
Then use your wisdom to enrich yourselves. Make deep success high steward of your store. Enlarge your mighty spirits. Strive to exceed in buildings, riot, garments, gallantry. For take this note, the world the show affects. Plain virtue, vilely clad, is counted vice, and makes high blood endure base prejudice.
But we have laws to limit our attire.
Broke with the least touch of a golden wire.
Yet wisdom still commands to keep a mean.
True, had you no means to excel the same. But having power labour to ascend, the fames of mighty men do never end.
Is not ambition an aspiring sin?
Yes, for blind baits and birds of lazy wing.
Methinks 'tis good to keep within our bounds.
Why, beasts themselves of bounds are discontent. Spend me your studies to get offices, then stooping suitors and uncovered heads may groaning come, unbowling the bags of their rich burthens in your wide-mouthed desks.
But men will tax us to want charity.
True charity beginneth first at home. Here in your bosoms dwell your dear loved hearts. Feed them with joy. First crown their appetites, and then cast water on the care-scorched face. Let your own longings first be satisfied. All other pity is but foolish pride.
Sweet counsel, worthy of most high regard. All our endeavours shall be to aspire.
Ours to be rich and gallant in attire.
All to be brave, else all of no respect. It is the habit doth the mind deject.
Let's brave it out, since pride hath made us know nothing is grace that wants a glorious show.
They exit apart from pride.
The puffed up spirits of the greater sort shall make them scorn the abject and the base. The impatient spirit of the wretched sort shall think imposed duties their disgrace. Poor naked need shall be as full of pride as he that for his wealth is deified.
Exit pride. So, yeah, I think that pattern is really, really emerging. As Lois said earlier, we had peace, then we had plenty, now we have pride. Can we think of another thing beginning with P to continue the progression? The answer is no. So, yes, yeah, we've got pride coming in and vainglory, hypocrisy in attendance, etc. And, yeah, we're going to tempt people to push on against those sumptuary laws, which we've mentioned many, many times before. I'll go to Lynn, I suspect. Lynn.
Yeah, I think I am detecting a little austerity politics here. We have peace. That's good, or at least we think it is. And peace leads to plenty. And who doesn't want enough food to eat and enough wine to drink and all of that? Oh, but then if people have too much material comfort, then they become prideful, and that's bad, you know. Yeah. Yes. So I am not sure I approve of the politics here.
Yeah, it has to be said that, yes, where it seems to be going is not a good place, because it's sort of going, well, you have nice things, you're just going to use, you know,
makes you
just
shallow
throw it
and
away.
materialistic, and, you know, yeah,
We
base
haven't-
people shouldn't aspire to have a comfortable life. That's wrong.
Yeah, we haven't quite got to deserving and undeserving poor, but it feels like we're a hop, skip, and a jump away from it, aren't we? So yeah, that's become a problem. On a structural note, even though this looks like this massive sprawling show that is just unstageable, the more I'm looking at it, the more I'm just going, actually, no, this is a lot smaller and fleeter of foot as well. On a much more pragmatic note. It can be reduced, and it may even be reducible with some conflation of plots as well, because I'm not sure actually we need quite so many for individuals in some of these plot strands. So on a structural note, I'm sort of going, no, this feels pull downable. Simon.
Yeah, it's really just we come back to Alan's review show point, which you I think you've just cemented. Really, it's a review show, it's a sketch show, it's like an Edinburgh sketch show. I think totally. So you can see how it would work that way if you were to stage it with literary hat swapping, and that would be that. I don't know there's much more to it than a funny discourse for us all to go. And as you say, if we're getting into the kind of the politics of wealth, what better place to debate than some of the great seats of learning, where of course it was fashionable.
So we need to move on because we need to finish the act. So we're going to Act 3, Scene 2. Enter Steward with 4 servingmen. Only 3 of them, I think, have lines. With swords and bucklers in their hose and doublets.
No steward with discharge shall us disgrace.
Why, all the lords have now cashiered their trains.
But we have served his father in the field.
What? Think they boys can serve to beard their foes?
And enter Mavortius and Philacus with their pages.
Be patient, fellow, seest thou not my lord?
Ah, wouldn't I see him, puppet-prating ape?
We are no stops, but we can feel disgrace.
Nor tongueless blocks, but since we feel, we'll speak.
What a coil keeps those fellows there.
These impudent, audacious serving men scarcely believe your honour's late discharge.
Exit steward.
Believe it? By this sword and buckler, no. Stripped of our liveries and discharged thus.
Walk, sirs, nay, walk. Awake, ye drowsy drones that long have sucked the honey from my hives. Begone, ye greedy beef-eaters. Your best. The callous cormorants from Dover Road are not so chargeable as you to feed.
'Tis true, Ray Lord, they carelessly devour. In faith, good fellows, get some other trade. You live but idle in the Commonwealth.
Broke we not house up, you would break our backs.
We break your backs? No, 'tis your rich-laced suits and straight-laced mutton. Those break all your backs.
Cease, ruffians! With your swords and bucklers, hence!
For service, this is a savage recompense. Your fathers bought lands and maintained men. You sell your louds and scarce keep rascal boys who ape like jet in guarded coats, are whipped for mocking men. Though with a shameless face, you graceless boys can never mend disgrace.
Desertful virtue. Oh, impiety.
Exeunt servants.
My lord Philarchus, follow all my course. I keep a tailor, coachman, and a cook. The rest for their board wages may go look. £1,000 a year would be so saved for revelling and banqueting and plays.
Plays. Well remembered. We will have a play. Steward, let's have Sir Oliver Owlet's men.
Philarchus, I mislike your fashion.
Faith, I'll fly into it with a sweeping wing. Methinks your honour's hose sit very well. Yet this fashion is grown so stale.
Your hat is of a better block than mine.
Is on a better block, your lordship means.
Without all question 'tis. He that denies, either he hath no judgment or no eyes.
Your lordship's doublet skirt is short and neat.
Who sits there finds the more uneasy seat.
Enter a page.
My lords, your supper's stale. 'Tis 8 o'clock.
What, is it so late? That fashion's not so good.
And they exit. So briefly pause here. It's odd because we've set up the Pride thing with one set of characters, and then it seems to be developed with another set of characters. And that's one of the things I was talking about. The conflation issue is that we've got these elements that, and it happened in the previous act as well, where we've got these two separate plot lines that are basically doing exactly the same thing. And there's part of me going, yeah, might want to just go thump with those two, because I find that sort of odd. Though whether that would fully work, I mean, they're doing slightly different things because they're in slightly different social positions. In these cases, they have servants who they have all basically said, "Oh no, we don't need those. Go off you go." Just made a lot of people redundant, and oddly enough, they're really annoyed about it. So there's sort of interesting questions about repetition, but also repetition with variations. So yeah, I may pull back on that point I've just made. But anyway, Lois.
Yeah, I mean, it's a sort of a state satire. I mean, the different estates of the kingdom are reacting to plenty and pride in different ways, but basically the same way. I mean, in this case, it is that classic thing about noblemen or people with houses in the country discharging most of their servants and going and living in town and spending all their money on fun instead of helping the poor and so on.
So yeah, and they mentioned in passing, plays. Well, remember, we'll have a play. So just to draw in the subplot.
Let's hire those really terrible guys.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, maybe they enjoyed it. Primarily, the primary criticism came from Landolfo. To be fair,
Yeah, Phalarchus quite liked it.
Yeah, he did.
But these may be the only ones around anyway. I mean, this is
Yeah.
in the country, isn't it?
Yeah, on that front, who are you going to hire? Nobody else is in town. Okay, let's go to Act 3, Scene 3. A completely different, random set of people who we've never met before, and I don't think we'll ever meet again. Enter oh no, maybe we will actually. Perpetuana, Felicella, Ballula, and with them a jeweler, a Tyre-woman, and a tailor. With everyone their several furniture. Bring your own props on, people.
Our 3 jewels, sir. Which likes you best?
An excellent piece. This those excels as far as glorious Titan stains a silly star.
Tush, be not partial, but peruse mine well. See you not proud Ulysses carrying spoils?
The rest are but this and smooth base foils, and yet they all are rich and wondrous fair.
And I haven't given out a Ballula, I think. Simon, step in to be a Ballula.
Sure. But trash, I'll have a jewel amethyst whose beauty shall strike blind the gazer's eye.
He put it down. One promised to devise a globe-like jewel, cut transparently, and in the place of fixed stars to set the richest stones that mightiest suns could get.
Nay, he be matchless for a carcanet whose pearls and diamonds placed with ruby rocks shall circle this fair neck to set it forth.
Well, goldsmith, now you may be gone.
Exit jeweler.
I'll have a pearl-fled robe whose loose-bodied wise that shall enjoy my jewel's maidenhead.
Oh no, I think that was a continuation of the previous person's speech.
Sorry, yeah.
Ballula.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Like Elizabeth said, Taylor, I'll have a pearl-fled robe whose bodied wise that shall enjoy my jewel's maidenhead.
The loosest bodies are in fashion most.
We better know what likes us best than you. Let me have flaring fashions, tucked and pinned, that powerful winds may heave it all a huff.
True measure of my body shall be taken. Plain dealing is the best when all is done, that for pride taught us when we first begun.
I'll have a rich embossed embroidery on which invaluable precious robe I'll hang the glorious brightness of my globe. Mistress Pickney, is my new ruff done?
Believe me, madam, 'tis but new begun.
Let pinching city dames overcloud their eyes. Our breasts lie forth like conduits of delight, able to tice the nicest appetite. Mistress Pickney, shall I have this fan?
Madam, not this week. Do what I can.
Pleasure, as bond slave to our wills, is ticed. We ladies cannot be defamed with pride. Come, let's have a play. Let poor slaves prate rank pride in meanest sort. In us is state. Remember, promise, Mistress Pickney.
Well, ladies, though with work I am oppressed, workwomen always live by doing best.
And a exit. Act 3, Scene 4. Enter Chrisoganus, Posthaste, Gulch, Clout, Gut, and Belch.
Chrisoganus, Faith, what's the lowest price?
You know as well as I, £10 a play.
Our company's hard of hearing on that side.
And will not this book pass? Alas for pride! I hope to see you starve and storm for books, and in the dearth of rich invention, when sweet smooth lines are held for precious, then will you fawn and crouch to poesy.
Not while Goose Quillian Posthaste holds his pen.
Will not our own stuff serve the multitude?
Right on. Cry on, yawl to the common sort of thick-skinned auditors such rotten stuffs, more fit to fill the paunch of Esquiline than feed the herrings of judicial cares. Ye shades, triumph while foggy ignorance clouds bright Apollo's beauty. Time will clear the misty dullness of spectators' eyes. Then woeful hisses to your fopperies. O age, when every scrivener's boy shall dip, profaning quills into Thessaly's spring, when every artist prentice that hath read the pleasant pantry of conceits shall dare to write as confident as Hercules, when every ballad monger boldly writes, and windy forth of bottle ale doth fill, their purest organ of invention. Yet all applauded and puffed up with pride, swell in conceit, and load the stage with stuff, raked from the rotten embers of stool jests, which basest lines best please the vulgar sense, make truest rapture lose preeminence.
The fellow doth talk like one that can talk.
Is this the well-learned man, Chrisoganus? He beats the air the best that e'er I heard.
Ye scraps of wit, base echoes to our voice, take heed ye stumble not with stalking high, though fortune reels with strong prosperity.
And exit Chrisoganus.
Farewell, the muses. Poor poet, adieu. When we have need, maybe we'll send for you.
And enter steward.
My lord hath sent request to see a play.
Your lord, what, shall our pains be soundly recompensed with open hand of honour's frank reward?
You shall have 4 fair angels, gentlemen.
Fair ladies, mean you? We have 4 in the play.
Nay, my good friends, I mean in fair pure gold.
Why, 'tis too much, too long ere it be told.
Mass, these are single jests indeed, but I will double it once. Ye shall have 8.
But are you sure that none will want the weight to weigh down our expense in sumptuous clothes?
Well, pleasure's pride shall mount to higher rate. £10 a play will scarce maintain our state.
Fat plenty brings in pride and idleness. The world doth turn amaze and giddy round. This time doth raise what other times confound.
Oh, sir, your moral lines were better spent in matters of more worthy consequent.
Well, whilst occasion helps to climb aloft, we'll mount promotion's highest battlement.
And break your necks, I hope. Climb not too fast. A heady course, confusion ends at last.
Rage to the poor. Look, steward, to your compt, direct your household. Teach not us to mount.
Farewell, ye proud, I hope they hear me not, proud, statued rogues.
Exit they follow. Act 3, Scene 5. Enter Faucheux, Lyon-rash, Champerty, and Calmancha, their wives.
Faith, husband, he have one to bear my train and another before to usher me.
Nay, I myself will earn the courtly grace. Honour shall give my wealth a higher place. Out on these velvet guards and black laced sleeves, these simpering fashions simply followed.
Well, through the streets in thundering coach I'll ride. Why serves our wealth but to maintain our pride? Law, arms, and merchandise, these are 3 heads from whence nobility first took his spring. Then let our haughty minds our fortunes spend. Pleasure and honour shall our wealth attend.
Nay, I will have it. That I will.
Contain your speech within your private thoughts. We are encountered with the honoured train.
Enter the audience. Mavortius, Tius, Philacus, Ficella, Ballula, etc.
Fair ladies, could these times afford you cates, you should be feasted in Apollo's hall. But lords, the chaps of wide-paunched gluttony have wasted all the dainties of the land. Servant Philarchus, what, no mask tonight?
A play? A mask? A banquet? We'll have all.
Enter steward.
My lord, the players now are grown so proud, £10 a play or no point comedy.
Exit steward.
Insolent with glib prosperity. Gentlemen, no players will appear. Gallants, to your mask.
How soon they can remember to forget their undeserved fortunes and esteem. Blush not the peasants at their pedigree, sucked pale with lust. What bladders swollen with pride to strout in shreds of nitty broguery.
Well, though the penny raised them to the pound, just envy causeless pride doth still confound.
Well, let them blaze. There's none so blind but sees pride's fall is still frostbit with miseries.
Enter a mask.
What? Come they in so blunt, without devise? The night is dead before the sport be born.
Cease music there. Prepare to banquet, sirs.
Ceres and Bacchus tickled, Venus stirs.
Gallants unmask, and fall to banqueting. A health about, carouse shall feed carouse.
The first is pledged, and here begins afresh.
This royal health of welcome greets you all.
Bacchus begins to reel with going round.
The grape begins to fume.
Why, let it fret. Not pledge a nobleman.
I like this jewel. I'll have his fellow.
How? You? What? Fellow it? You velvet guards!
Insolent, forbear.
A pettifoggers, hooded wife so perched?
Why not, proud lord? Then bid your minx come down.
Bryony, I think, for Voucher.
Sorry, I got a bit lost there. Dishonourable lord, I say thou liest.
I challenge thee on that disgraceful word.
Here answer I thy challenge in this wine.
I will confirm thy pledge and meet thee too.
They speak and fall asleep on the stage. Sound music. Enter envy alone to all the actors sleeping on the stage. The music sounding, she breathes among them.
Down climbing pride to Stygian Tartaric. The breath of envy fills the empty world. Envy, whose nature is to work alone, as hating any agent but herself. Turn thou lackey to the winged time. I envy thee in that thou art so slow, and I so swift to mischief. So now stand, peace, plenty, pride had their competitors, but I enjoy my sovereignty alone. Now shall proud nobles, law, and merchandise each swell at others, and their veins would break. Fat ignorance, rammish barbarism, shall spit and drivel in sweet learning's face, whilst he, half starved in envy of their power, shall eat his marrow and himself devour. Awake, ye brawn-fed epicures, look up, and when you think your clearest eye to find, be all their organs strook with envy blind.
Exit envy. They're all going to awake for Act 4. Envy is the next stage following Pride, but that's Act 4's problem for another time. So yeah, we've got another version of Pride. We got Pride from the ladies going to the show. Student hijinks of some teenage boys pretending to be ladies there in very stuff, and I'm sure it was hilarious. And then we have the players. They got a review from on a blog once, and now they are just going. We're going for broke people. We're from 40p to 10 quid. That's quite a
40D.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, they've gone up in the world.
600 times.
Yeah, that's quite an impressive rate of inflation. And unfortunately for them, it doesn't work, and so instead they don't get the job, and the lords have a mask instead, of which the mask just enters clearly. I mean, I just love that line. They come in so blunt without device. They've just walked on. Masks are supposed to be big and spectacular, and it's just literally some dancers enter. And then do they all get drunk and fall asleep, or do they, because they're talking about Bacchus and wine and stuff? What is the cue for them to fall asleep beyond just envy turning up? I got the impression that that there's a drinking game going on there or something, and that just leads them all to be soporific. Rachael.
Yeah, I mean, the falling asleep, I just think it's a joking challenge, and then they suck down, a pint or whatever, a couple pints super fast, and then just pass out like lightweights.
Lois.
Yeah, I mean, there are all these references to pledging. You drink somebody's health, and you've absolutely got to. There's this not pledge a nobleman. You've really got to do it. So they probably are all completely sloshed by the end.
Yeah, because it does feel like there's a complicated physical business going on. Because with a mask, you're expecting dancing, you're expecting movement. It's suddenly a lot more active and complicated than it was before. I'm not going to do final thoughts going around everyone in the room, so we've only got a few minutes left, but I will sort of take waving at me for final thoughts. Otherwise, I will start picking people to sort of close this session. So we've done 3 acts. There's another 3 to go. I think we've now got a sense of what it's doing. It does have a conflict in the sense that there are a series of characters and their circumstances under them changes, that they are influenced by the shifting from peace, plenty, pride and envy, and that is having an effect on them, like, I don't know, the tides or the moon or something, and that's shifting everybody's behaviours, and we're seeing them across different statuses. So we've seen the players in their pride demanding more money and therefore not getting anything. We've got people dressing up in slightly silly fashions. We've got people sacking all their workforce. That's going to go well. And just people changing their attire and changing status without buy or leave. So there's a lot here. There's a lot of good stuff here. But it is trying to knit it together into something that sort of connects with us. I think is our big challenge here. Actually, there is connective tissue, but there's some. It's interesting me, but it's a challenge. Lois.
Yeah, I think the most obvious way to do it would actually be to emphasize the modern parallels. I mean, it strikes me that the opening we've got maybe the 60s and 70s, and then we move into the 80s, and then we're into the 90s. It seems to me it actually fits fairly well with the development of from peace and a kind of expansion of culture into a culture of greed is good, and and then envy. You can see various ways, what's sometimes called the politics of envy, and just generally a souring of the whole thing. I don't know where, I do have a rough idea where it's going, but I mean, it strikes me that would be the only way to play it that would make it really interesting to a modern audience.
Yeah, I like that, because that gives us a framework, and it means that we can also comment on some of the dodgier politics of what it's saying as you go along, and that might work quite nicely. I quite like that. Other thoughts, just general reactions. We've got 8 minutes. 8 minutes. There isn't really a proper clock, by the way, people. We're not that firm, but Bryony.
Yeah, I really like Lois's idea then, because that's the most engaged I've been with this play this whole session. It's just there's some fun stuff in there, but for me, there's too much digging around with this pretentious, and I know it's supposed to be, but I'm just not really loving it.
Rachael.
Same as Bryony, like it's been hard to connect with this play because of that. I don't know, I'm smarter than you quality to it. Like it does have that Ben Jonson-ness, and I think there's one line from Belch where he says something straightforwardly and it made me laugh, but it's like that's because it's the first thing that was sort of straightforwardly said and I could understand.
Yeah, because we do have people commenting on other people who are, being a bit pretentious and or being opaque, and but the people who are doing that, they're relatively short in what they're doing, and it's everything's so brief. Everything happens like that. It's over before you sort of got into anything. And do we fundamentally know who any of the people on stage are, apart from possibly Chrisoganus? Simon.
Yeah, I don't even know if we're supposed to really care. I just feel that everyone's a device, which is fairly obvious. And we are going to be, I think, by the end in the realms of morality play where, well, don't be stuck on this and this. It's substance that counts. That's where I feel it's probably just going to. But yeah, I agree with what you guys have said. It's not really engaging me very much either now. So I enjoyed the first scene because we were trying to figure out what was going on, and there was some stuff, and then it's just, oh god, just get to the end.
But it has got these the stuff with the players is quite fun. It's just the problem is because we don't care about the individual characters. It's like we've got these situations that are quite good, or potentially quite good, but because we don't actually care about their outcome, it's a tricky one to latch onto. I mean, I think it's got potential with the right cast and actors to make this work. I just it's just like it is the absent. You're right. I think it's that morality play thing of everything is there for a function, not because they have any interiority.
See, the object you said about the references being no longer relevant, but I suppose it's no different to if you pick a restoration comedy, which of course is full of references that we haven't got a hope of getting now because it was all social commentary. So I suppose it's not a great stretch from that, but it's just how relevant is some of it, and I just think it could be a lot shorter and distilled. And I know we've already said about Lois's idea, but I think that's a great idea. I think the only way you could possibly bring this up with relevance would be to throw projection and Gordon Gekko and all sorts of parallels. It'd actually be a very, very good way of doing it. I think it's probably the only way of having a hope of getting people to sit in their seats for an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Well, I mean, it's not a long play. I mean, it won't reach 2 hours by its running time. It's very short, and yeah, it's fleetness. Whereas if we're talking about bringing up other plays that are city comedies or restoration or something like that, where. But again, we are engaged with character and action and their lives in the way that we're not engaged with character here. This is all there's satire, there's gags, there's morality, but it is all here, and it is all about whether the jokes are landing or whether the point is landing, not about interior. So in a sense, looking for that connection is perhaps a mistake because we're not going to find it. The playwrights have no interest in giving it to us. Other thoughts before we close the session? We've only got one more session on this. It's only a 2-sessioner. It's not a long play. And I say, there is as ever this question of at what point do you put an interval? This is probably as good a place to potentially put an interval as anywhere else. It can move around possibly, but it is actually very schematic as well, in the sense that each act is a different thing, so you're waiting for which particular influence is going to come in each act. Alan?
I'm not sure that digging for any depth in any of these characters is actually a worthwhile exercise. It's all surface, it's all show. And I think the thing is, played as a sketch show at pretty well breakneck pace, I think it would probably work. It would probably get an audience or keep an audience amused, because by the time there was something for them to object to, you're 3 scenes further on.
And also, as a thing to sort of filch material from. It's got lots of good individual scenes that one could use. I think there's some very nice material. I think inevitably, as a player, one is drawn to the player bits of going, here's some material, but it is also the definition of being slightly self-indulgent.
It isn't a chunk of that lifted from other sources.
So it all plays around quite nicely. Other thoughts before I close the session? Elizabeth.
Yeah, I think it's the play's left a lot of the readers a bit cold. But for me, I've warmed to this play. I'm quite enjoying it. I know that you don't get the depth in the characterization because we're just constantly moving from a bunch of characters to a bunch of characters. But I do feel like we have gone back to a few of them. For example, Chrisoganus, who I thought was hilarious, even though we couldn't always understand what he was trying to say. I think that the fast moving pace of it means that there's an element of spectacle in the piece that I quite like. I like this whole sense of like constantly moving, almost revolving stage with constantly revolving characters, and that we eventually will come back to some of them, but some of them you might never see again.
Yeah, and I think part of the pleasure in this is actually the relative smallness of the cast performing a ridiculous number of parts. And actually there is a pleasure in that we're missing here, actually, that they literally will walk off stage, hat change, back on again, and there's no proper costume changes going on. And sometimes it will just be silly voices, and it'll be, whatever, and just to get you from one thing to another. And I think there's huge potential there as well with some tweaking, that something comes out of that. But otherwise, unless I see anyone else waving, I'm going to lead us towards the end of the session. All that remains is one more session to cover Acts 4 to 6. We find out what the hell how it's all gonna end. Who follows envy? What particular horrors are we going to lead us towards? All that remains is thank all the wonderful readers for their wonderful reading. Thank you very much, and goodbye. The fellow doth talk like one that can talk.